This is Carl at National RV Detroit. I'm going to walk you through this 2021 Flagstaff Shamrock Model 19. Alright, so of course we've got crank down stabilizers. This video is just going to be basically a supplemental video to the manufacturer setup video that you already get. I'm going to go over some of the appliances and things in a little more detail. We'll just work around the outside right now. You obviously have a power awning with an LED light strip, 2 outside speakers. This is the vent for the range hood. So if you want to vent with the range hood, you got to push up these tabs and it'll free up the baffle inside so it flaps freely. So whenever you're using the fan in your range hood, make sure you have that baffle open to flap freely so it vents to the outside. If you're traveling or storing or whatever, you just keep it shut in place like that, so it can't get damaged by the wind, and varmints can't work their way in there, whatever. Okay, you have a TV bracket to hook up your TV. You've got power and antenna here. This is where your grill sits, right here, and you get a LP line with it with a quick coupler, and it attaches right down here. So you can see that right there. That's where you'll attach your grill. There's also a table in here that sits next to it. Let me see, maybe it's in here. Yeah, there's your table right there. Okay, there's your stabilizer crank there, the big one. And then there's a smaller crank. The small crank is for the power tongue jack. If the power tongue jack was to fail for some reason, you can pull this cap off the top, stick that crank on there and crank it manually, so you can always get yourself out of trouble. So it's a good thing to have. And another thing, this is just telling us, this little hookup here is telling us that this is pre-wired for a solar battery charger. If you wanted to get one, it would plug right in there. Okay. All right, let's go around here. 2 LP tanks with automatic changeover regulator. We got 2 deep cycle marine batteries wired together as 12 volts. So it's 12 volts and just double the storage capacity. Okay. This right here, if you can see it, is very difficult to see, but it's right under the tanks there. That's a kill switch for the battery, so you can actually disconnect it when you put it into storage. Therefore, it's not going to, the ghost powered here, like for example, the carbon monoxide LP gas detector is hardwired to the battery, so no matter if you shut everything off, it's still going to draw power. So you can turn that switch and it won't be drawn down in storage like it normally would, so it'll last a lot longer. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. Okay, there's your power cord, 30 feet, 30 amp. This is a reducer you get to reduce it down to plug it in at home. That's your dump hose, of course. This is the, I'll show you this right now. This is the fill for the city, or for the portable freshwater tank. It's basically, if you go to a campground that does not have city water, doesn't have city plumbing, you can pre-fill this tank and then use the onboard pump to pump the water. Like some of the state parks, for example, especially the older ones, just have a fill station where you go through the gate. But nothing on the campsite, so you can pre-fill it, and everything will work just like you have city plumbing, city water, okay? All right, so this is your water heater. Never turn on, it works on both gas and electric. Never turn on either energy source unless there's water in the tank. So you always want to make sure there's water in the tank, right? This right here, let's see if I can get that off. This switch right here is it's an on and off switch for the electric heating element that's behind here. So to turn the electricity on, you always got to have that in the on position. All right, this is where you drain it right here. It's got an anode rod attached to it. This is your gas burner. The switches to operate that are going to be inside. This is your pressure release. Never release pressure when there's hot water in it, obviously, or you'll scald yourself or worse. Okay? All right, so that's just the vent for your furnace. You have an outside shower. This is where your plug that I just showed you, or your cord plugs into, your 30 amp cord. All right, so these are your dump valves here. You see this one's gray. That's for the gray tank with sink and shower water. And then there's the black valve here for the black tank, which is toilet water and waste. Okay. Always dump the black first and then use the gray water to flush it out because it's cleaner than the black water. Not only that, we're back here. This is your black tank flush. You see, this is the sticker that pertains to it. So basically what it says is you can flush your black tank by hooking the hose up here at the dump station, but make sure you have your black tank valve open before you turn the water on so too much pressure doesn't build up. Okay, this here is for winterizing the trailer. That's where you draw the antifreeze in. I think you probably, oh, it's open. If you, just to give you a basic understanding, if you remove this panel here, there's 2 screws holding it in. All the screws are number 2 square-headed screws. You'll see the valves to bypass your water heater are there. Also, wait a minute, let me make sure I know what I'm saying. No, they're not there, I'm sorry. The valve, you switch to, switch between the, I gotta get this straight so you can understand. The water pump has a selector valve. You can either select it to draw from the fresh water tank, which is the normal position, but if you're winterizing, you can select it to draw through this port right here. So you put a hose on here, it would go into the antifreeze and you draw it into the system that way. You always have to bypass your water heater before you do that because you can't get antifreeze into the water heater or leave a foul taste. So, therefore, you always want to bypass the water heater first. Let me see if I can just show you how to get to these. You might have to get to it inside. Yeah, it's going to be inside the trailer. I'll show you where the back of the water heater is once we get inside. Okay? All right. So, these bunk doors can be adjusted. If you ever see any water seeping in, like along the top, it won't seep into the trailer. It'll get caught by the canvas. But if you see that, you can bring it in, and it just takes us a minute to adjust it. But right now it's adjusted. We've water tested it. It's been in the rain, so it's not leaking. But if it ever did, I'm telling you that it's adjustable. It's got so you can always improve on it anyway. All right. Also, this housing up here tells us this is pre-wired for a backup camera. So you can always put one on. We sell them here. You can buy them elsewhere. Just make sure you get the right one that fits into that housing. Also, while we're looking up, you have to remember that you have to go up or somebody has to inspect your roof every 90 days. Go up there and look for cracking or separation. And then in the sealant, you also have to look and see if any road debris damaged the roof or low branches damaged the roof, that sort of thing. Make sure the vent covers are okay. So you're just going to inspect it to make sure everything's okay. Now, before I bring this down, to adjust these legs on your stairs, you just push this in, and then you move them up and down independently of each other, and you can adjust it to any terrain that you want. Okay, so here is your grill sitting right here. This, like I said, it hangs on that rail right over there, and it plugs in underneath. All right. So when we come in the door, we see your control panel. So let me just do it this way. Okay. So first of all, this is the Wi-Fi Ranger. The Wi-Fi Ranger is a signal booster. Basically, this sticker here pertains to that one. You can see the top line, Trenton 1562 or Tenton 1562. That's what it's called. So when you use your phone or tablet, you're going through the Wi-Fi to hook up to it. That's what yours is called. So you can identify yours. You'll put in the password, so it basically logs onto that one automatically, right? Then if you go to this address here, it's the page for this Wi-Fi Ranger, and you'll be able to see everything the Wi-Fi Ranger sees. The temporary password is right there. Change me now, 1562. So basically, if you're using campground public Wi-Fi and they give you a password like they do sometimes, you can basically just you'll find it on the list of Wi-Fi, and then you would log onto it, and you're connected. So instead of adding all your devices independently to the public Wi-Fi, you're going to just attach this to it, and all your devices will attach to the Wi-Fi Ranger. Also, it has a paid feature that you can use. It's a cellular feature. You'd have to look into it if you're interested, and you would take a SIM card. You'd pay for it just like you would another device on your carrier. So mainly people use the free Wi-Fi booster. It's a good Wi-Fi booster. The antenna's on the roof, and you can just get better bandwidth. So everybody's competing for public bandwidth. So this is a good thing to have. All right. You could also obviously open your camera, and this will give you more information. Also, your awning right here, it's a power awning, extend and retract. Never leave it out unattended. Always roll it in when you're not going to be at the campground. These are all lights. We'll shut the Wi-Fi Ranger off. Your water pump, I told you it has an onboard water pump. That's right here. You use this to pump out of the fresh water tank if you don't have city water. And you use it for winterizing. To light your water heater on gas is here, on electric's here. Remember I told you there's a second switch in the lower left-hand corner of the water heater that has to do with the electric element, so both those switches would have to be on. Like I said, always make sure there's water in the tank before you turn it on. This is you check your levels here, your battery's charged. Fresh water is almost empty. I think they're probably working on it right now. It graduates up in 1/3 increments, of course. Black is empty, gray is empty. So when you get past 2/3, you're going to have to start thinking about dumping the black and the gray tank. Alright, so also, this is just your thermostat. It's very simple, it's analog. Try to always keep it on automatic for the fan. And heats to the right. The next one to the left is fan, which is the air conditioner running without the compressor. And then of course you go all the way over to air conditioning. Alright, now this above here, this is how you tell what your solar panel is doing and your batteries are doing up front. Okay, so right now we're getting 13.3 volts up front. The batteries are not battery A and B. It's wired together as one battery, double the storage. So you'll just look at B here. So you can see right now from the sun going to the solar panel, we're getting 7.2 amps. So right now we're gaining 7.2 amps, and it's going into the battery. Your battery is 100% charged, or batteries are 100% charged. Amp hours 47. Back to the voltage. So that's how you check that. It also says it's a flooded battery, and that's accurate. Okay, you can also charge a telephone or something in an emergency. You know, if everything was dead and you were dead, you can use the sun to charge your phone, so on and so forth. Okay. All right. So let me move inside here. Let me look around to see what I'm missing here. Okay, so the microwave works like any other microwave. The range, well, let's do this. The range hood vents to the outside, like I told you. Remember about the baffle that I talked to you about. So when you turn on the fan, you want to make sure that the baffle is open so it can flap freely. Now I don't know if he's got the gas turned on here, so let me see if he's got it. Basically this is the sparker. You turn it clockwise to spark. This is the oven knob, and these three are for the burners. So let's just get one going here. Yeah, so it lit right there. So you just turn this clockwise to spark it, okay? Now the oven is a little different. Let's see what oven we got here, okay? Basically, the pilot light is all the way to the bottom in the back. So I can spark it so you can see it. See the sparking back there? So what you do is you go to the oven knob, you go to the pilot, which is a picture of the flame, and you depress it. You keep it depressed. Then you're going to spark it here until it lights down there. Once you see it light, you still hold this in for another 10 seconds or so to heat it up. You go to operating temperature, it cycles as an oven does, but when you shut it off, the flame goes off, but so does the pilot light. So you have to relight the pilot light each time you use the oven. Alright. Okay, anything else here we need to see? I don't think so. Now this trailer comes with a water filter also if you want to use it. Let's see where he put it here. Normally it would be there, but we got new people, so you never know where I'm going to find it. Here we go. Well, it's not in there either. Okay. Well, anyway, while we're here, this is the line to hook up your griddle with, outside, right? These things are the controllers for your bunk warmers. So this end would go into the side of the mattress, and then the other end goes into the nearest 110, right? And it doesn't heat the mattresses. It just takes the chill out of them. So it's just a warmer. You also get two fan light combos. They plug in right here, one in the front, one in the back. So you can get light and a little airflow if you need it. Also, while I'm sitting here, this one has a power inverter now. So there's two things that happen in this trailer. You have a power converter, which converts 110 AC to 12 volt DC. So it converts AC to DC power, right? Most trailers have that. They all have it, as a matter of fact. Some of them now have just the opposite. It's an inverter. You can see I turn it on there. You're only going to turn it on when you're inverting power. So what it does, it takes the power from the batteries, which is 12 volt DC, and it'll turn it into 110 AC, right? So it's a power inverter. So when you only turn it on when you're using it, not all the plugs are inverted. So it's a limited thing because it's not a real, inversion is not as it takes more power than it does to convert power, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So you could not run every 110 AC appliance off of this inverter. For example, you can't run the air conditioner. That's too many amps, right? But you could run the radio, you could run the motor on the furnace, for example, all the lights, things like that, okay? So, okay, and another thing, while we're here, this is the carbon monoxide LP gas detector. It should always be green like it is. I'll put it through a self-test here. It'll test for carbon monoxide, then it'll test for LP gas, actually it's vice versa, and then it's going to beep 4 times slow, and that's telling you that the battery's low, right? So it's also a low battery alarm. But I'm going to set it off so you can hear it. If I can find it. There we go. There's LP gas, carbon monoxide coming up. There you go, and then low battery alarm. Okay, and then back to green. So obviously if it goes off, you take everybody outside, leave the door open, shut the gas off at the front and figure out what's going on. Alright, so let me see if there was anything else in here that I needed to show you. No, that's everything there. I promised I would look for the... Here we go. So this is your... In the back of the trailer, if you remember, I opened the compartment and told you that there was the water pump was behind there, and then there was a valve so you could select either drawing antifreeze into the system or drawing from the water tank, okay? Well, also there's a canister there that will hold this filter. This is just a charcoal block filter. It's good for solids anyway. And it'll take chemicals out. Like if you have well water, it'll take some of the mineral taste out. It'll take the chlorine taste out from the other water. So it's a pretty good thing. If you usually have to change it every season, you throw it out in the fall and put a new one in the spring. This is the wrench for it here. Okay. All right. So this is the spatula. This is a coax if you wanted to add a TV outside. This is just a towel rack, which you probably won't use because the walls are only a 3/16 thick panel, so you have to hit a stud to make it worthwhile, otherwise it'll pull off. Also, that you can do the same thing with toilet paper roll. Most people use the stand that they'll pack away and then bring it out when they're at their campsite. That way you don't have to drill through the wall and try to hit a stud. And if you got kids or grandkids around, I guarantee you they're going to pull it off the wall. It's absolutely guaranteed. Alright, so this is a 12-volt compressor refrigerator, so it runs off the battery. So when you're pulling down the road, your alternator on your tow vehicle is going to charge the battery, right? And it'll draw off that. And when you're plugged in, you get 12 volts from this thing here. This is the power converter. Remember I talked about inversion over here, which is taking 12 volts, turning it into 12 volt DC, turning it into 110 AC. This one does the opposite. This is a converter. So what it does, when you're plugged in, it takes 110 AC. It has regular house circuit breakers like you'd see at home right here, right? 110 AC, and they're all labeled. Then it converts the power to 12 volt DC. So you have these fuses here, 12 volt fuses, they're labeled. And that's where the 12 volt comes from. So when you're plugged in, this will be supplying the energy to your refrigerator, for example, all the 12 volt. And it also is a battery tender, so it'll check how much energy your battery has up front, and if it's totally charged, it'll just trickle a couple amps up to it. If it's low, it'll send 10 amps or whatever it needs. So it'll keep your battery charged. Also, if any of these 12 volt fuses blow, they'll actually light up, and you can see them through this tinted plastic here. So if you see something glowing in there, you know a fuse blew. Okay, but fuses blowing are very rare. It has to be a super power surge or a defective appliance or something like that. It's very rare. Okay, always latch your refrigerator doors when you're traveling. Okay, so this is just your TV here. I'm trying to see if underneath. I don't know if you can see back there, but there's a light glowing, a green light glowing. That is your signal booster for your digital antenna. It should always be on. There's a little button on it. You can turn it on and off. You always have it on when you're using the antenna, or you'll get a lousy picture. Also, your radio plays discs, CDs and DVDs. You can stream off of this. You can hook up with Bluetooth from your phone or tablet and stream to it. It has 2 speaker zones, 1 and 2. 1 is inside, 2 is outside. It has an AM/FM radio and an HDMI in. So if you got like a game machine that will keep kids busy on a rainy day, for example, or a rainy weekend, you could set it here, plug it in, and go straight into the system through this HDMI if you wanted to. All right. Of course, the table folds down and sits on these cleats. You can use it for a bed when you do that, but also you always have it down for travel. Never leave it up when you're traveling, because it can bounce around or break a window or cause damage. So you always have it down on the cleats. The way you do that is you just push this to the right, this yellow little plastic thing there to the right, and it'll latch it. You just fold it down. Okay, when you come to pick up, they'll show you that. Make sure that it's always down and stowed before you travel. All right, so this just is a rollover here. So this is another bed here. The back rolls over. The table goes down, and this is a bed also. Now I told you that where you'd find the water heater at, that's going to be under here or back here. You can see there's a screw. Here, let me see if I can move this over here so I can do this with one hand. Okay, there's a screw right there, number 2 square-headed. If you take that off and lift this seat board up, you'll see the water heater there, and you can see the valves on the back of it. You never pump antifreeze into the system unless you have bypassed the water heater, because you can't get the antifreeze in there or leave a foul taste, so they give you a way to bypass it, right? When you're camping, it should be into normal camping mode where water goes into the water heater, heats up and comes out. So 2 positions for that. All right, let me see if I forgot anything here. The bathroom. The only thing to know about the bathroom, I don't know if you've owned trailers before, the sink and the shower work like any other sink and shower, except this one has another feature. This is a very eco-friendly company, Flagstaff, and they make excellent trailers. But right here, this is your water miser, right? So what it is a recirculator. So if you're in a drought area, for example, and you're hooked up to city water, you would turn this to so the water will, instead of the water coming out of the shower head and going into the gray tank where while it's cold and heating up, right? You can put it into a loop, and it circulates around and around while it heats up. After it heats up, you'll see this change color distinctly. When you see that, you would go into regular mode because it's already heated up, and then you got hot water without wasting any. So you're saving water, period, and you're also saving storage space in your gray tank, because if you let gallons go into the gray tank while you're warming up the water, for example, you're going to be using up energy for the water heater, plus you're going to be using storage space in your gray tank. So it's a way to recirculate your water while it heats up. Every appliance in here, every device has an instruction manual in the packet that you get with this. You also can go online and go look at manufacturers' videos for just about everything here, so you can learn as much as you want to learn, okay? This, what we're looking at, is the cheat sheet for your radio. It tells you how to do the most common functions, so that's a good thing to have. All right, so the other thing is you got a 4-speed fan here, 4-speed fan. Always run the fan with the shower, because these things are built super tight, and you don't want the humidity to build up in here and create conditions where mold or mildew could grow. So you always vent it when you're showering. Also, if you've got a lot of people in here, let's say, at night, and it's the time of year where you're going to get condensation from your breath, for example, you can put this on low and it'll pull it all out of the trailer. The toilet, the thing to know is you can't run it dry. By dry, I mean the black tank, which is right down there, is empty right now. So when you pull into the campground, it's going to be empty because you dumped it, right? So you hook up to, you pull in the campground, you park, you hook up your water and your power, then you're going to come in here and you're going to step on the pedal, which is right here. Water's going to come swirling out. So you put about a gallon of water in the tank with a dose of chemical, whichever chemical you use. You read the directions, see what one dose is. So you want about a gallon of water in there and chemical before you start using it. You can't use it dry because it can get hard, and you have to have it. You have to have somebody or somebody brave chisel it out of there, or it'll smell so bad, it's ridiculous. So you always want to have water and chemical in there when you start using it. Okay. All right. So now I think I've done it. I think I've got everything. You have a second fan here, which is great. You'll find that you won't have to use your air conditioner on days when it's, you know, just right on the edge there, because it'll pull the heat out of here big time, especially when you open the windows. So, okay. Alright, so, first of all I want to thank you for purchasing your trailer here at National RV, Detroit. I want you to remember what I said about inspecting the roof seals and the roof in general. That is the most important maintenance you can do as a trailer owner. Everybody needs to do it, not many people do it enough. You have to do it to protect your investment, okay? Odds are you're not going to have to do anything when you go up there. But that's why you're inspecting it, just to make sure, okay? Remember you got to bypass your water heater before you pump antifreeze and that sort of thing. If you're familiar with camping, you already know this. There's plenty of videos online for winterizing. There'll be one specifically for this trailer, I'm sure. And there's also manufacturer's videos. Try to always stick with the manufacturer's video because they're more straight and to the point and they're accurate. Sometimes with some of the third-party stuff, they can get kind of creative, you know. So keep that in mind, okay? All right, thank you very much.